AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite ice princess, the lovely Lauren Hersey, who you guys are doing okay in this storm, right?
I mean, Jim, what else can I say? Let it go. Just gotta let it roll off. But yeah, we're hunkered down. We got a foot, over a foot. And with, no end in sight. I think we're, into tomorrow. How about you?
Well, what's interesting is they're projecting up here we could get 18 to 24 inches of snow, but it's supposed to be the light, fluffy snow, which in theory is easier to remove. But, and Nancy always asks me when I come in from, outside from 2 hours of shoveling snow, how was it? Was it okay? And it's like, whether we're moving a ton of feathers or a ton of bowling balls, it's still a ton.
It is true. Eric was out this morning, and as soon as he would shovel it would be right back to being covered. So he threw in the towel. I mean, maybe he said, let it go, like whatever.
There we go. We're very much on brand tonight, folks. All right. So, but anyway, Frozen 3, and again, from what I'm hearing, Lauren, November 2027.
I can't hardly wait.
Okay. But, on this week's show, we have some Zootopia 2 related news. Is that correct?
Yes. We're going to talk about cookies, which I told you about last minute. We're going to be diving headfirst into the collector economy and looking at how Disney and Universal are racing to cash in. This story is fascinating. So we're talking about Zootopia, like you said, partnering with a company behind one of the biggest and most viral collector items in 2025. We're looking at why blind box culture suddenly is everywhere Disney touches and how collectibles are no longer just merch. They're a strategy. And then there's Universal's latest announcement out of Japan, so we'll be digging into that one as well. What do you have coming up on the feature, Mr. Hill?
Well, actually, that ties in with the big announcement coming from Universal and Nintendo, and I thought we'd take a look at, and again, I have to tell you, this startled me. It's a story about the highest grossing media franchise of all time, and I was not ready for these results, Lauren.
All right. Well, now I'm intrigued. Can't wait to get into that. But before we do, why don't we thank our sponsor?
Absolutely. This episode of I Want That Too is brought to you by our friends at UnlockMagic.com, the go-to place for some of the best deals on theme park tickets. If Disney or Universal is anywhere on your radar in 2026, Unlock Magic helps you unlock great ticket prices without the stress, handled by people who really know the parks and how to save you money. So if you're thinking, okay, this is the year we finally go, head to unlockmagic.com to grab the best ticket deals and make that future trip just a little more magical. So, all right.
Oh, hey, and Jim, before we jump in, I do want to say, I did buy my Disneyland tickets last night through unlockmagic.com. It was super easy, and we saved over $200.
Woof. Okay. Well, I'm going there myself. In fact, I'm joining you and your husband and the kids in March. So I guess I need to reach out to Unlock Magic myself. So there you go. All right. So back to the news portion of the show. And it just seems like, folks, on I Want That Too, there are two things we cannot stop talking about, and that's Zootopia and Labubus. And the interesting thing about this story is it checks both boxes. Lauren, would you like to explain?
Yeah, so they're not like real Labubus. They're like Labubu adjacent. Let's just call it what it is. But the company that manufactured and made Labubus was Pop Mart, right? And so they have just unveiled a new collab with Disney's Zootopia 2, which, I mean, when you look at it, it just totally makes sense. So Zootopia is a massive hit. I mean, I think I read this weekend that it's now like the largest grossing animated film, like grossing $1.7 billion globally.
True.
That's right. Yeah.
And by the way, just to clarify, that's from a Hollywood studio. On the other hand, just this past year, we had Niza 2, which came out of Japan, which I want to say is $2.2 billion worldwide. So
I never even heard of that. I'm going to have to do some Googling after the show.
Okay.
But this did say Hollywood. Thank you, Google. So at the same time, Pop Mart is also coming off one of the most explosive years that any collectible brand has ever seen. So Labubus, we talked about them all of 2025. I think they generated over $1 billion in those creepy little monster babies. And I mean, just a resale phenomenon. So this seems like a match made in heaven when you look at those two successes side by side. Now, this is also a blind box collectible. It's a keychain. And this is a part of their Molly line. I need to do some digging. Like, who is Molly? And why is she so popular? But anyways, just like we've seen with the things coming out of cute culture, Japan making their way to the States via the Disney store online. These little girls are all wearing Zootopia, those big fluffy hats. So there's Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps and Gary DeSnake. And so there's also a special secret edition, which people I'm sure are going to freak out over, Nibbles and Maple Stick.
Yes, the beaver character. Yes.
It's the beaver. Okay, cool. So I did hop on Reddit also before the show, and the collector community, Labubus and Disney, they're losing it, and they're already trying to, do some trades, and the resale market is alive and well. So I think, adult collectors, Gen Z buyers, this is who it's really for. And I think if this one is a success, we're going to see more of these collaborations in the future. What do you think, Jim? Would you buy any of these little dolls, keychains?
I mean, they are ridiculously cute. They're 5 inches tall. Is that correct? I think I'm going to stand outside of this phenomena and wave from a distance, just sort of like I will keep tabs on it. I will pay attention to the story, but if you're strong, because remember, what is it? If you get more than 2 of these things, that's a collection, and it looks like in order you've got to get all 5 of these, and just chasing down the secret Nibbles maple stick, I don't think I have enough hours in the day.
Yeah, and I think you got a lot of collectibles going on. But speaking of collectibles, so we're switching gears to a collectible, but this time it's living inside the theme park.
Yeah, no. This is Disney Lorcana. Is that correct?
Yes. So we know that Disney is all about the collectible markets, and they're leaning in, and they're doing anything that they can to get in there. And they're doing it successfully with Disney Lorcana, and so much so that we're looking at the Festival of Arts, and where the internet has coined it farts. Are you team farts or FOA?
By the way, folks, if you want to learn more about this issue, we just started a brand new podcast here at Jim Hill Media. In fact, it's hosted by Lauren and her husband, Eric. It's called Diz and Hers. And they go on quite a bit in their inaugural show about this discussion about, what's the proper thing to call the Festival of the Arts at EPCOT. And, as an old fart myself, it's just sort of like, I have a certain preference,
I'm for it. Whatever.
There we go.
Okay, so back to the Festival of Art. So this year, Disney's doing something that has kind of taken the collectible market by storm. People are very, very excited. They have a new scavenger hunt at EPCOT, and it is I want to get the name, that's the Lorcana themed Ink and Find a scavenger hunt as a part of the festival. And as far as I could tell, it is free of charge, and you get your quest book, and each quest book comes with a 12-card starter pack and a map. And just like the other EPCOT scavenger hunts, you're walking around looking for these giant Lorcana card displays, and you're putting your stickers as you find them on the map. And whenever you get done, you can turn your map in for a Lorcana themed prize. From what I can tell, it is a Rapunzel Appreciative Artist Magical Places card. And I saw that online. So, I mean, if it's free, it's for me. I like that. But they do have $5.99 booster packs available at Disney Traders. And resale market also alive and well here. I saw that the full festival promo cards, they're going for $160 online.
Well, it's one of those things. You look at that price point, and then, if you're a Lorcana collector and you think about, all right, how much would I spend on a plane ticket, and how much would I spend for, admission to the park, and how much walking around would I have to do, and suddenly $160 for a full set of festival promo cards. It seems very affordable.
Yeah, I mean, if that is what you're into, I totally get the rationale. I mean, versus like going all the way to Florida and, doing all that walking. But I did promise at the top of the show I would tell you about cookies. And I'm thinking, okay, walking around Epcot, you're burning a lot of calories. So let's talk about cookies real quick. Did you see the new Marvel Oreos, the Stuff of Legends?
Yeah. And it's just one of these things where it's like, I'm just beginning to think that, 2026 is just basically doomsday, that we should just all sort of adjust to the fact that, for the next 11 months, this is all we're going to talk about, Marvel related stuff. And it's just, and the notion that, the fact that these Oreos are the Stuff of Legend, it was like, wow, that is really on the nose, but somebody at Disney's earning their check, so to speak. So, but please explain to the nice folks about the Stuff of Legend.
Yeah, so I think I might be extra excited about the Oreos because not that I'm a giant Oreo fan. I mean, double stuffed if I was going all in. But I think I told you, Jim, that last winter I just started watching the Marvel movies. I had not seen any, and so we're watching them in the order that they are happening. And so last night we watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and the night before we watched Thor, Love and Thunder. And so I was really excited to see Thor was coming back and Star-Lord's coming back for Doomsday. I'm assuming that's what they were teasing at the end. But anyways, back to the Oreos and why these are so stinking cool. Okay, so the Oreos, they are coming out pre-sale on January 26th. And there's 32 of the either like Marvel heroes or villains. And this is what is like really cool that I want to check out is that for the first time ever, they have color changing cream. So as you're eating them, they turn from gray to blue. How do you feel about that?
Okay, first of all, you know, Disney learned the hard way when they opened the Be Our Guest restaurant at Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom. That they literally offered people, try the gray stuff. It's delicious, and it's like it's gray. It's like I've been taught over my lifetime that if it's gray, it's food, I throw it away because it's been in the fridge for too long. So the notion that now this goes from gray to blue, is that what you're telling me? Because
yeah, and it didn't work apparently if you had white to blue. So gray it is, but it is color changing. And the other thing that's kind of cool with this that there is an interactive fan experience. So you can like scan the QR code on the Oreos, or you can go to Marvel Oreos Stuff of Legends.com. And obviously I went over there and it says that this is beginning February 2nd. And the first 3 Marvel Oreo Stuff of Legends packs, they made it safely onto shelves. But the most sinister supervillains are trying to stop the powerful 4th and final pack from making it across the country. It says come back on February 2nd and join the mission to safely deliver the 4th pack of cookies and be entered for a chance for like a $2,000 grand prize. Very dramatic for some Oreos, but cool nonetheless. Or you can go to Oreo.com. And do you know that you can actually order Oreos on Oreo.com? I did not know that either.
It's one of these things where I remember when you open a pack of cookies and put them in your face. All right, that was the obligation. I bought them at the store. I bring them home. I open them and I put them in my face. And now I have to scan a QR code. And now I have to stop sinister villains from preventing a 4th pack of cookies. And it's just sort of like, and at this point, I have to also consider my Oreo cookie is gray because it's supposed to be gray, not because it went bad when it was being transported across the country and being stopped by supervillains. This is a lot to ask, Lauren, of a cookie.
Listen, but I feel like this represents modern consumerism, visiting the theme parks, like it's coming at you from all angles. Like, when did a cookie just stop being a cookie? And now it's a collector's item, and that's why we're talking about it on I Want That Too, because I think that people will want to have all of the villains and the heroes.
Speaking of which, totally off topic for just a second here, but we had the lovely gentleman in charge of Gideon's Bakehouse on the show late last year. Yes. You did see where he's opening a brand new thing at Disney, at Walt Disney World. They're in Disney Springs. I want to say Three Ravens. Is that what it's called?
Yes, and I remember seeing something briefly. Again, more Googling, and we'll talk about it on our next episode. Good job, man. All right, so talking cookies, collectible items, going back to the cards, because I think that we got Disney's Lorcana out of the massive global success of Pokémon. So I know this is a Disney show, but there's so much rumbling online now about Universal Studios Japan's latest announcement saying that they have plans for a world-class Pokemon attraction, confirming that this major expansion is going to be centered around one of the most valuable franchises in the world. So, and I think people are latching on to this saying, okay, well, we have Super Nintendo Land or Nintendo Land, we're going to get a Pokemon Land, and what could that look like in the United States? I mean, is that what you're like drawing conclusions like that we're going to get this in California or?
Well, we will on the second half of today's show discuss. I mean, again, the key giveaway there is the most valuable entertainment franchise in the world, which I didn't know about until I was doing the research on this week's show. But again, that's after the commercial break. But tell us also what other things Universal has not revealed so far.
Well, hardly anything. They just gave us enough. It's kind of like the Moana trailer, the live-action Moana trailer. It's like, hey, there's a movie coming. It's about Moana. And that's essentially what we got for Universal. So there's no opening date. There is no specific ride system shared. There is no exact format, ride, land, multi-attraction area, really anything. It could be a photo booth for all we know, because it is saying that it is just an attraction, is what the press release said. However, looking back, the company's language is very similar and is mirroring what they did with Super Nintendo World, with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. But what we do know and how they're describing the Pokemon project is buzzwords like immersive, innovative, designed for repeat visitation. I do think that Pokemon would be an amazing fit, internationally, domestically. Like, it has all of the things. Like, you've got this crazy collector community. They're trading. There's the blind bags, blind packs, like completionism. So I'm wondering if maybe you'll be able to like Pokemon Go, like using an app, a smartphone, something like that, to collect different Pokemon that are unique to the theme park and maybe being able to access something in the real world.
I have to say, that the irony here is that the Imagineers for years now have been frustrated by the fact that they will spend tens of millions of dollars on an elaborately themed queue that is supposed to immerse you in the world and help set up the story of the attraction you're about to get on, and then they will open this thing and watch people walk through the queue face down in their phone. And where the irony of this whole situation is, if, on the other hand, a Universal then decides to do something that is inspired by Pokemon Go inside of one of its theme parks, they will look at a land full of people face down in their phones and think, we have succeeded beyond our wildest dreams, because, everyone will be waving their phone around, looking for the latest edition of Mew or, Charmander or, whatever.
No, and I think I just thinking here, with the power-up bands and the wands and stuff with Universal, a couple Christmases ago, I got Hunter. It looks like a little Pokeball, and you would put take it in your pocket, and it automatically collects the Pokemon wherever you go versus kind of pointing at. And so perhaps there's a wearable that for, an extra $39.99, you can collect all the rare Pokemon in this land. I don't know, just saying, call me, Universal, you need some ideas.
There we go. That check goes to Lauren Hersey. So. All right, we'll tell you what, folks. On the back of this story, when we get back from this break, we're actually going to talk a little bit about the history of Pokemon and more to the point, why so many people in themed entertainment are chasing, are dreaming someday of having a Pokemon-sized success. But first, this.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to I Want That Too. I have something really exciting to share. Eric and I just launched a brand new podcast right here on the Jim Hill Media Network. Yes, that Eric from the Epic Universe podcast. It's called Diz and Hers, and it's all about the Disney community, what fans are talking about, debating, and spiraling over online. If you're a Disney fan who loves scrolling Reddit, reading the comment sections, and keeping up with what everybody is talking about, this podcast might just be for you. So, what are you waiting for? Go search Diz and Hers wherever you listen to your podcast and subscribe now.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
And we're back. All right. I want to stress that I'm an old person. Okay, I'm 67, or 66, soon to be 67. So I remember the old world, the world that existed before gaming, when companies like Disney or Universal were mostly excited about, well, how are our TV shows doing in the ratings, or how are our movies doing at the box office? How many tickets are we selling? And that world changed, Lauren, in 2018, when for the very first time, video gaming, the revenue made from video gaming, actually surpassed global ticket sales for movies. That was the year that gaming generated $43 billion worth of sales of game units versus the $41 billion that globally movie studios had made. And I bring that up, Lauren, because in February of that same year, 2018, that was the year that Universal cut the deal with Nintendo, which then allowed them, that particular movie studio, to start making movies based on best-selling Nintendo games like Super Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong. And what's interesting about that is prior to that, May of 2015, Universal had made a deal with Nintendo to make theme park attractions based on these same properties. So if you're being cold-blooded and you're looking at the deal that they made 3 years later in 2018, especially given what had just happened with gaming revenue passing ticket sales for movie theaters, this was a Universal going, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, I bring that up because in 2019, the worldwide global box office achieved a record, $42.5 billion. Hollywood was having, a very proud moment. But on the other hand, global video game industry, Lauren, in 2019, that was the year that they made $120 billion. They had effectively tripled what they had made the year previous, and that was all on the back of a surge in popularity of mobile gaming, which at this point is $68 billion a year. Okay? And I want to remind folks that the pandemic happens the very next year, 2020. Hollywood takes a brutal hit. Theatrical, as an entire business, goes away for a while due to social distancing. And on the other hand, gaming just gets stronger, Lauren. And if we now jump ahead 5 years' time, 2025, theatrical, still recovering. For example, just this past year, worldwide, global ticket sales, $33 billion. So still about $10 billion less than they were making back in 2019, but that's up 12% from what sales were in 2024. And by the way, it's worth mentioning here that a lot of what drove that 12% jump, Lauren, was Zootopia 2, Disney's live action Lilo and Stitch, and Avatar Fire and Ash. So 3 Disney films, helped to make the difference there. On the other hand, Lauren, gaming, doing okay too. Jumped in that 5 years from $120 billion a year to $197 billion.
Oh my gosh. That's obscene.
It is. I mean, mobile, jumps to $108 billion a year. Console games, $45 billion, and PCs are $43 billion. But again, most of this is on the back of mobile gaming, which, if we're being honest here, ties its beginning back to a certain little yellow thing called Pikachu. And this is the part of the story that absolutely fascinates me, Lauren. It's only been 30 years since the first Pokemon games. Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green, in fact, next month, February, 30-year anniversary. These were invented for the Game Boy, which, by the way, at this moment...
Wait. Pokemon was invented for the Game Boy? It wasn't a card game?
No. In fact, that's what's fascinating about it. And better yet, it's invented for the Game Boy, which at this point is a 7-year-old game console. It's nearing its end of life cycle. So this, honestly, Lauren, this never should have caught on. And Pokemon trading cards, they don't even get introduced till October of that same year, 1996. And then it's like, oh, people seem interested in this. Well, we should maybe launch an anime series. That debuts on TV Tokyo in April of 97. So, and it's now just this strictly in Japan phenomenon. But folks in the States are sort of looking over and like, well, I guess we could try that. They have these conversations in late 97, early 1998. And so what's interesting is how it rolls out here in the States. The animated series, it debuts in syndication on September 7th, 1998. The video games, Pokemon Red and Blue, don't actually show up here in the States for the Nintendo Game Boy till 3 weeks later, September 28th. And then the trading card game, Lauren, doesn't even show up in the States till early January of the following year. In fact, they first hit store shelves January 9th, 1999. And our first theatrically released film, Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. That shows up in theaters November 10th of 1999. So all of this happens within 14 months. And the phenomenon explodes. But everybody in the States like, all right, we know what's going on here. It's going to burn itself out. This is Power Rangers. This is, this is Cabbage Patch Dolls. Lauren, okay, we now jump ahead to 2026. And this is serious. The highest grossing media franchise in history is Pokemon. It has grossed an estimated, and this is a real number, folks, $115 billion over the past 30 years. And $103 billion of that is retail. There's $10 billion that's come in from mobile gaming. And then there's paltry $1.1 billion, from ticket sales to Pokemon-related films, and then $40 million for home video. And Lauren, to give you a yardstick to understand how significant this is, the number 2 highest grossing media franchise in history, maybe you've heard of this character, Mickey Mouse?
I never, ever in my mind, would put Disney and Pokemon in the same arena, Mickey Mouse. And but I will tell you, this Christmas, there was not a Pokemon to be found anywhere. Because Miles, he's been really into Pokemon. That's my 8-year-old, for the last couple years. And I searched and I searched and I searched because this is cross-generational collecting.
Absolutely.
I just had no idea the size and scale.
Oh, no. It is absolutely crazy. Mickey, again, Mickey has existed since 1928. 100 years, in 2 years. He's only managed in 100 years to sell $61 billion, worth of stuff. So again, remember, Pokemon, 115 billion in just 30. And by the way, Lauren, again, tying in with who we've been talking about a lot on this show recently, the number 3 character when it comes to media merchandise, Winnie the Pooh. He sold $50 billion worth of stuff since 1926, 100 years. And 49.6 of that is, but everything comes up short in comparison to Pokemon. For example, Star Wars is only $50 billion. Disney princesses as a brand, $45 billion. Barbie, Barbie is $36 billion. And again, I want to stress here, what is it, 115 billion for Pokemon. And the entire MCU has only sold $35 billion worth of stuff since 2008. And then what's interesting is we move to the number 9 and the number 10 slot on this list, and it's wow, these are things in the Universal parks. The Wizarding World started in 97. To date, Lauren, $34 billion. And then Hello Kitty, which I know you and I have talked about on this show about, why is that in the Universal parks? Well, it's in the Universal parks because, this character has sold, $33 billion worth of merch since it came on the planet in 1974. And this is why Universal wants Harry Potter and Hello Kitty in its parks. So as to why certain franchises are in parks and why certain ones are not, Laura and I will discuss that further in a moment. But first, this.
This episode is brought to you by FX's The Beauty Official Podcast. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's hottest new series, The Beauty, taking you behind the scenes with its amazing stars as they discuss the show's most jaw-dropping moments. Featuring Evan Peters, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Ashton Kutcher, Rebecca Hall, Bella Hadid, Megan Trainor, Isabella Rossellini, Jessica Alexander, and Ari Grainer. Search FX's The Beauty wherever you listen to podcasts.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also, they're a literal vampire. And suddenly, my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A six-pack of abs? Nope. Six-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Okay, so we're back to, and again, Lauren and I think are trying to do the same thing, wrapping our heads around the amount of money that Pokemon has made on a global scale since it launched back in 1996. And again, that's 115 billion. Billion with a B.
If you care, I still cannot wrap my mind around it. Like, I'm not okay over here.
Well, but on the other hand, you understand why now a Universal, would turn to a Nintendo, especially on the heels of the enormous success of the Harry Potter stuff going into the parks. And it's like, we need to do something. But at the same time, what's fascinating is once you start to look at this list of the highest grossing media franchises, and you suddenly begin to get a lot of insight into why certain certain franchises keep getting revisited. I mean, for example, we've got a brand new Batman movie, the second one starring Robert Pattinson. It's going to start shooting this spring. It's going to be out in theaters in October of 2027. And that's actually on the back, Lauren, of the fact that Batman as a media franchise to date has made over $29 billion. And that's on the back of comic books, collectibles, and the movies and the TV shows. Similarly, we're getting a brand new Spider-Man, Brand New Day, that's coming out from Columbia this summer, July 31st, 2026. And again, why is that headed into theaters? Have we lost our enthusiasm for Spider-Man yet? Oh no, that's a $26 billion franchise, and he's been around since 62, 63.
And I love Disney's little Spider-Man. He's so cute.
He's
cute.
My favorite one. Cute. But at the same time, if we look at the Universal parks, what else do they have there? They have Transformers, and the reason they have Transformers is as an animated series, as a retail line, and as a series of movies. Transformers has made $25 billion. So that's there.
Is Fast and the Furious or something on that list? I still don't get that one, that it's cropping up everywhere. That those movies make a ton of money.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Yes, Fast and Furious. I mean, mind you, it's no Pokémon. It made $7.9 billion for Universal, which kind of, interestingly enough, puts it in the same range as Jurassic Park. That's made $10.1 billion for Universal, but that's enough to keep a Universal thinking, all right, we need to put more of those movies out in theaters. Now, conversely, if we look at, for example, we've got a Toy Story 5 coming out in June of this year. That makes sense because, to date, that's made $14.8 billion for Disney. But Lauren, that's barely 2/3 of what the Cars movies have made for Disney, $21 billion. So it's like, you look at that and it's like, well, why are we getting a Toy Story 5 and we're not getting a Cars 4? At the same time, you look at things like that Lion King themed flume ride that's being built right now at the Disney Adventure World Park over in Paris. When you realize that the Lion King as a media franchise has made $17 billion, it's like, well, okay, I get that. That's why we're still in that business. But yeah, if you go down this list and look at how even these supposedly minor franchises are making billions for companies. This is why, we're getting 2 Avengers movies in the next 2 years. That's a $14 billion franchise.
Wait, we're getting 2 Avenger movies? What's the other one?
Oh, yeah, we are getting Avengers Doomsday. That comes out December of this year, 2026.
Oh, yeah, know all about that one.
And then, and forgive me if this spoils the movie a little bit. After an eight-year time jump, we then get Avengers Secret Wars, which will wrap up that story. But that comes out December of 2027.
New Marvel fan over here.
But yeah, it is just absolutely fascinating when you drill down into this list and see, while everybody dreams of someday getting a Pokemon, they're still also happy with, for example, we've got a Minions 3 coming out this summer. And the reason we're getting a Minions 3 is because Universal has made $12 billion off of Despicable Me and Minions movies. So it's like, absolutely, we're in that business. Conversely, if we pivot over to Paramount for a moment, between the various Star Trek TV shows, the streaming series, the movies, that's made $11 billion. So that's why Paramount is very, very aggressively in the Star Trek business now.
Do you think there could ever be like a crossover collab or anything to bring Star Trek to a theme park?
It's so interesting you say that because, and I don't want to give necessarily too much info away because Lauren and Eric and I are planning when we're all out in California in March to do, a recording of a bunch of shows that, we'll make here available on Jim Hill Media and over on Patreon as well. But we are, as part of this trip, looking to do a day or so in Vegas, right? And sort of...
Oh, it's booked. There is Vegas in our trip.
Okay, well, there we
Yes.
go. All right. And while we're there, we're going to talk about, that weird period in the late 80s up till the mid 90s where Vegas, was looking at Disney. And it's like, how do we get into that? How do we get into that market space? Can we be more family friendly? And Lord, I'm just going to tell you this. You want to get online and Google Landmark Entertainment and Star Trek Hotel. And you will then see concept art for a full-sized version of the Enterprise parked on the Las Vegas Strip as a casino and a hotel. And what's interesting is we didn't get that, but we did get at the Las Vegas Hilton for a lot of years, we had Star Trek The Experience, which had this lovely moment where you were supposedly in a museum looking at props from various Star Trek movies, and then you heard a garbled transmission come in from Starfleet, and the lights in the room got weird, got very bright, got very dark, got very bright, and when your eyes adjusted again, you were standing on the transporter pad of the Enterprise. And it was like, hi, we need you to get to the bridge right now. And it was one of these things where it was like, how did I get here? This masterful bit of stagecraft that if you know where to look online, there's actually a piece of rehearsal where they show you how that it was one of the greatest illusions. Oddly enough, the same illusion was used in Poseidon's Fury at the Universal Parks. But again, not going to give that away. But yeah, we came very, very close to, you're driving down the strip and it's like, oh, a pyramid next to the Enterprise, next to a big white castle. It's like, all right, okay, there you go. But yeah, I mean, for me, I did not know until you came to. In fact, this is how Lauren and I work, by the way, folks. It's she goes off and writes her news stuff, and I then ask her, okay, so what are you talking about? And she tells me, and then I ask her, well, what do you want me to do for the feature? And she's, well, we got these ideas. And again, she had all this fascinating information about Pokemon potentially going into the Universal Parks. And I thought, I enabled my daughter's Pokemon habit for years, but I never really looked into the phenomena. And I did that tonight. And again, my mind was blown by Pokemon being the highest grossing media franchise of all time. And I would have bet money that, I knew they were popular, but almost twice the business that Mickey Mouse has done since 1928. How is that even possible?
I just can't. My mind is blown. So I'm really, really happy that you pulled a Laura and you did the crime scene investigation thing and you connected all the dots of but you did a great job. And I did suggest the Cracker Jack story too, because I'm like, did we end up getting Pokemon and like, Lorcana and all of these like mystery bags, the Labubus and stuff? Like, was that all from like the original, mystery in the Cracker Jack box? I don't know, but this was so much better.
I don't know. Well, again, thank you so much for suggesting the thing. Because again, I love it when I walk away from writing a show actually having learned something. And it just sort of like, I have to tell you, I've spent a lot of my adult life because my daughter, from a very young age, loved Pokemon, with these characters. And it just came away this evening with a newfound respect for them. It's like, oof, okay, he may be teeny tiny, but Pikachu is very mighty, especially in the bank account way. So.
Yes, you have to tell Alice to listen to this episode. But anyways, I think that that does it for today's episode of I Want That Too. I think it's time to close up shop, Jim.
Absolutely. By the way, if you want to keep up with everything that's happening across the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, please follow us on social. And again, don't forget to check out our Patreon for bonus shows and early access.
Yes, and if you have a question or an idea for future episodes, we love to hear from you. So shoot us a message, Jim at jimhillmedia.com or me at lauren@laurenhersey.com.
Oh, and if you like the show, leave us a quick review or a quick rating or review it. It helps other Disney fans find I Want That Too. Oh, and also go check out Diz and Hers. I'm just saying, okay?
Thanks for the shameless plug there, Jim. But that does it for I Want That Too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.